Most people keep miso in the back of the fridge and pull it out whenever they want to make soup. That's it. A container that costs barely 3 or 4 euros, sitting there for weeks doing almost nothing. But the Japanese have been putting this paste to work for over 1,300 years. And the reason it is useful on everything from morning rice to chocolate chip cookies to the skin on your face comes down to one thing: free glutamate. That is the amino acid the koji mold's protease enzymes liberate from soybean protein during fermentation, and it is the engine behind every single trick in this video. My grandmother Yuki kept a tub of white miso in her kitchen every day of her adult life, and she had 31 uses for it, most of which had nothing to do with soup. Today we are counting every one of them down from number 31 to the one habit she refused to start a morning without. Stay especially for number 7. It is going to change what you think the next time you reach for a block of cheese to grate. Let's go. Number 31, the fluffy rice secret. Next time you cook white rice, add 1 teaspoon of white miso to the cooking water before switching on the heat, stir to dissolve, and cook as normal. Granny Yuki did this every single time without exception. Here is why it works. The free glutamate in miso enhances the rice's natural sweetness and savory depth, while residual amylase enzyme from the koji softens the outer starch coating on each grain. The result is rice that is more distinct, more flavorful, and noticeably less clumped. Restaurant quality every time. Number 30, the never boil rule. This is the piece of kitchen wisdom Yuki repeated more than almost anything else. Miso must never boil. Add it to any soup or hot liquid completely off the heat once the temperature drops below about 70 degrees Celsius, and never return to a boil afterward. Here is why. Above that threshold, the live bacteria in unpasteurized miso die, and the delicate volatile aromatic compounds responsible for miso's layered fermented character evaporate almost immediately. The glutamate survives, but the depth you paid for disappears with the steam. Number 29, the instant umami broth. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of any miso in 240 milliliters of hot but not boiling water, stir for 30 seconds, and you have a complete, deeply savory broth in under a minute. The reason this works instantly without any simmering is that the koji proteases spent months converting soybean proteins into free glutamate during fermentation. That work is already done. Every molecule of it is pre-formed and immediately active in water. A year's worth of patience is already sitting inside that tub. Number 28, the 1-minute salad dressing. Whisk 1 teaspoon white miso with 2 tablespoons rice vinegar, 1 teaspoon toasted sesame oil, and half a teaspoon of honey, enough for 1 large salad. Japanese home cooks have done this for generations, and here is why it holds together so well. The glutamate creates a savory backbone that softens the vinegar's sharpness without dulling its acidity, and miso's natural proteins help bind oil and vinegar together longer than a standard vinaigrette. Try it once, and you will stop reaching for bottled dressing. Number 27, the soup rescue secret. Take any bland canned or boxed broth and turn the heat completely off. Stir in 1 teaspoon of miso, dissolve it, and taste. What just happened is that the glutamate triggered the umami receptors on your tongue, signaling depth and fullness of flavor in a way that reads as hours of simmering rather than 30 seconds of stirring. It does not taste like miso. It tastes like the soup finally became what it was supposed to be all along. Number 26, the scrambled egg upgrade. Whisk half a teaspoon of white miso into 2 or 3 eggs before the pan heats up, and use no other salt. This is a traditional Japanese kitchen habit. Those same amino acids amplify the natural savory compounds in the egg yolk, while the salt in the paste seasons the eggs evenly throughout rather than sitting on the surface. The result is a more complex, more cohesive scramble that does not need anything else on the plate to feel like a complete meal. Number 25, the miso compound butter. Mash 1 tablespoon of white miso into 4 tablespoons of softened unsalted butter until fully combined. Roll it in parchment paper into a log, refrigerate for up to 3 weeks or freeze for up to 3 months, and slice off a pat whenever you need it. Butter carries fat-soluble aroma compounds, while miso delivers its glutamate and water-soluble umami simultaneously, coating any hot surface with both in a single move. It makes everything taste better and takes 2 minutes to make. Those 7 built the foundations that change every meal you cook from here on. But everything from number 24 down gets more surprising, and by the time we hit number 7, you may never buy a block of cheese for grating again. Number 24, the roasting accelerator. Before your next tray of vegetables, whisk 1 tablespoon of miso into 2 tablespoons of olive oil, toss your carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, or sweet potatoes in the mixture, and roast at 200 degrees Celsius as normal. The glutamate in the miso, combined with the natural sugars in the vegetables, accelerates and deepens the Maillard reaction at the surface. The result is a faster, richer, more caramelized crust than the vegetables would produce on their own. Same time, dramatically better outcome. Number 23, the grilled corn magic. Mix 1 teaspoon of white miso into 1 tablespoon of softened butter. The moment corn comes off the grill, while it is still intensely hot, brush the miso butter directly onto the cobs. The residual heat continues the Maillard reaction between miso's glutamate and the sugars charred onto the surface, creating a sweet, savory, caramelized finish that lands differently from any butter or salt you have put on corn before. Japanese home cooks have seasoned grilled corn with miso-based mixtures for generations. Number 22, the Misozuke Quick Pickle. Spread a mixture of 4 tablespoons miso and 1 tablespoon mirin in a Ziploc bag. Add thinly sliced cucumber, carrot or daikon, seal, and massage to coat. Refrigerate 2 to 3 hours for a light pickle or overnight for something deeper, then rinse before eating. This is the Japanese tradition of Misozuke, part of the Tsukemono pickling practice documented for centuries and still practiced daily in Japanese households. The salt in miso draws moisture out via osmosis, while its glutamate penetrates inward. No vinegar needed. The pickle cures in depth, not just at the surface. Number 21, the tomato sauce transformer. At the very end of making any tomato sauce, with the heat completely off, stir in 1 teaspoon of red miso and serve without cooking further. Tomatoes are already one of the richest natural sources of free glutamate in any kitchen, roughly 246 milligrams per 100 grams. Adding miso's own glutamate creates a synergistic amplification of umami that food scientists have measured and confirmed. The sauce does not taste like miso, it tastes like the tomato has more fully become itself. Number 20, the Dengaku eggplant. Whisk 2 tablespoons white miso with 1 tablespoon mirin, 1 tablespoon sake, and 1 teaspoon sugar. Have a medium eggplant, score the flesh in a crosshatch, brush the glaze on generously, and broil 6 to 8 minutes until deep and almost lacquered. This is nasu dengaku, a Kyoto culinary tradition with roots documented as far back as the Muromachi period, over 600 years ago. Under the broiler, mirin's sugar and miso's glutamate undergo rapid Maillard browning, and the scored flesh draws it inward, one of the most satisfying things a broiler can produce. Number 19, the stock deepener. When finishing any homemade stock, chicken, beef, or vegetable, turn the heat off. Dissolve 1 to 2 tablespoons of miso directly in the hot liquid, stir well, and strain. Japanese home cooks have always added miso at the end, never at the beginning, for a precise reason. Introducing that glutamate at the finish boosts the stock's savory depth without cooking off the volatile aromatic compounds that give the stock its character. It becomes richer without becoming heavier, and without tasting like miso at all. Number 18, the miso butter pasta. Before draining any pasta, reserve half a cup of the cooking water. In the empty pot over the lowest heat, melt 2 tablespoons of miso compound butter. Add the pasta water gradually while stirring, then toss in the hot pasta with a generous handful of Parmesan. The starch emulsifies the miso butter into a silky sauce, and miso's glutamate meets the enormous concentration of glutamate in aged Parmesan, creating a double umami depth that no amount of heavy cream can replicate. From number 17 down, we are in protein territory, and this is where the koji protease mechanism shows its most dramatic side. Stay especially for number 13, and keep number 7 in mind. Number 17, the 30-minute tenderizer. Coat a chicken breast or pork cutlet in a thin, even layer of white miso. Leave it at room temperature for 30 minutes, rinse completely under cold water, pat dry, and cook as usual. The koji-derived protease enzymes, still active in yun-pasteurized miso, begin breaking down surface proteins from the outside in during those 30 minutes of contact. No mallet, no acid marinade, noticeably more tender and juicy because the miso started the work before cooking even began. Number 16, the fish smell fix. Rub a thin layer of white miso over raw fish fillets, leave it 10 to 15 minutes, then rinse completely under cold running water and pat dry before cooking. Japanese home cooks have used this for generations with strongly scented fish like mackerel. Trimethylamine is the specific compound responsible for fishy odor, and the amino acids and organic acids in miso bind to those molecules so they rinse away cleanly with the paste. The fish cooks completely clean. Number 15, the salmon glaze. Combine 2 tablespoons of white miso with 1 tablespoon of mirin and 1 tablespoon of sake. Coat salmon fillets, marinate 30 minutes to 2 hours maximum, rinse lightly, pat dry, and broil at high heat for 6 to 8 minutes. Watch the surface closely. Miso's glutamate caramelizes rapidly under the broiler alongside the mirin sugar. It also meets the natural glutamate in the salmon itself, and the layered, savory depth that results makes this taste like far more effort than it actually is. Number 14, the overnight pork cure. Granny Yuki made this on weeknights, and the next morning it cooked in 5 minutes. Mix 3 tablespoons red miso with 2 tablespoons sake and 1 tablespoon sugar. Coat pork cutlets thoroughly, seal in a bag, and refrigerate overnight, but no longer than 24 hours. Rinse completely and cook over medium heat, 3 to 4 minutes per side. Beyond 24 hours, the salt draws out too much moisture. Within that window, koji proteases penetrate deeply into the muscle fibers. The difference in texture is something you have to taste to believe. Number 13, the saikyo yaki fish cure. This is the Kyoto tradition made internationally famous by chef Nobu Matsuhisa, and it is far more achievable at home than most people realize. Mix 4 tablespoons white miso with 2 tablespoons mirin and 1 tablespoon sake. Bury thick fillets of black cod, salmon, or sea bass completely. Seal and refrigerate 24 to 48 hours. Rinse and broil over medium heat. The extended time gives the koji proteases their fullest window to convert fish proteins into free amino acids throughout the entire fillet, not just the surface. There is no shortcut that produces this result. Number 12, the miso finishing butter. When steak, roasted chicken, or grilled fish comes off the heat, place 1 teaspoon of miso compound butter on the surface and let it melt for 30 seconds without touching it. Residual heat carries miso's glutamate across the entire surface in a fat-soluble medium, while simultaneously amplifying the browning compounds already on the meat. A self-basting, flavor-amplifying finish that takes 3 seconds. Japanese cooks have used miso as a finishing element on grilled proteins for as long as there has been miso to finish with. Number 11, the under-the-skin chicken trick. Mix 2 tablespoons white miso with 1 tablespoon softened butter. Loosen the skin of a whole chicken or chicken thighs gently without tearing it, and push the miso butter underneath to coat the meat directly. Roast at 200 degrees Celsius as normal. The fat carries miso's glutamate deep into the meat as it renders during roasting, and the skin receives accelerated Maillard browning because its surface is now coated in amino acids that react with natural skin sugars under high heat. The most consistently golden, most deeply savory chicken you will make. From number 10 down, we go somewhere most people do not expect miso to reach. Desserts, drinks, skincare, and a blood pressure finding that genuinely surprised researchers when they first ran the numbers. Stay for number 3, which ages cheese in days rather than months. Number 10, the cookie secret. In any chocolate chip cookie recipe, replace all the salt with 1 tablespoon of white miso per standard batch of 24 cookies. Add it during the creaming stage with the butter and sugars. Free glutamate suppresses bitter taste receptor activation, letting the chocolate's full flavor register more intensely and sharpening the perception of sweetness. The salt content of the miso handles all the seasoning. Professional pastry chefs and the test kitchen at King Arthur Baking have documented exactly this effect. Number 9, the miso caramel. Make any standard caramel by heating sugar to amber and carefully adding warm, heavy cream. Once completely off the heat, whisk in 2 teaspoons of white miso and add no other salt. Miso delivers its glutamate alongside dozens of amino acids from fermentation, creating a salted caramel effect with more complexity than sodium chloride alone provides. Pastry chefs who have switched consistently describe a richer, more rounded profile. It also never oversalts because the ratio is built into the paste. Number 8, the miso hot chocolate. Heat milk and cocoa powder in a saucepan to a gentle simmer. Reduce to the lowest heat, whisk in half a teaspoon of white miso until dissolved, and do not boil again. Sweeten with maple syrup or honey to taste. The miso flavor is entirely undetectable. What you taste instead is richer, rounder chocolate with a depth that reads like salted caramel without any caramel in the cup. The same mechanism suppresses cocoa's natural bitterness at the receptor level and lets the chocolate come fully forward. An old Japanese kitchen instinct that modern home cooks are only now catching up to. Number 7, the miso cured egg yolks. This was Granny Yuki's answer to expensive cheese for grating, and once you see what it does, you will not look at an egg yolk the same way again. Nestle raw egg yolks into small hollows pressed in a layer of white miso in a container. Cover each yolk completely with more miso and refrigerate for 3 to 5 days. Remove, rinse gently, pat dry, and grate directly over pasta, rice, or salad with a fine microplane. Salt draws moisture from the yolk via osmosis over those days, concentrating proteins and fats and firming the yolk to something solid enough to grate. The glutamate penetrates inward as the moisture leaves, called kimi no misozuke in Japanese, a home tradition that costs almost nothing and produces something extraordinary. Number 6, the miso face mask. Mix 1 teaspoon of white miso with 1 teaspoon of raw honey until smooth. Apply to clean dry skin, avoid the eye area, leave 10 to 15 minutes, and rinse with lukewarm water. Always patch test first. Miso contains 18 types of amino acids, including lysine and proline, both precursors to collagen synthesis in skin. A peer-reviewed study found that miso extract stimulates ceramide synthase expression in human skin cells, supporting the moisture barrier at the cellular level. Japanese women have used fermentation-based ingredients on skin for centuries. The science explains why the tradition held. Number 5, the daily miso skin habit. In a peer-reviewed Japanese study, women who consumed miso soup daily for 2 weeks showed significantly higher stratum corneum water content, improved skin elasticity, and better overall texture compared to those who did not. The connection is miso's fermentation-produced compounds and amino acids supporting ceramide synthesis systemically when consumed consistently. This is a dietary trick, not a topical one. The Japanese proverb that has described miso for generations names its 3 gifts: taste, life, and beauty. Number 4, the blood pressure paradox. Miso contains roughly 634 milligrams of sodium per tablespoon, comparable to a teaspoon of soy sauce. And that deserves a conversation with your doctor if you have existing concerns. But a 2020 review published in Environmental Health and Preventive Medicine, examining multiple controlled studies, confirmed that miso does not raise blood pressure the same way an equivalent amount of table salt does. The bioactive peptides produced during fermentation attenuate the sympathetic nerve activity that sodium normally triggers, and miso promotes more efficient urinary sodium excretion. The sodium is real. so is the counterbalance. Now for the final three. These are the ones that Japanese home cooks have kept close for generations, and if you only remember three things from this video, remember these three. Number 3, the miso-aged cheese. Coat a small block of firm cheese, cheddar, manchego, or gruyere, all work well, in white miso. Wrap it in a single layer of cheesecloth and refrigerate for 3 to 5 days. Unwrap, scrape off the miso, which can be reused for vegetable pickling, and serve. The koji protease enzymes in the miso continue working on the cheese's own protein structure over those days, breaking down surface proteins into free amino acids and creating a more complex outer layer that mimics months of additional aging. Fermentation researchers and professional chefs have confirmed this exact effect. Number 2, the gut health morning ritual. Every morning, use only unpasteurized, refrigerated miso paste, not shelf-stable varieties, which have been pasteurized and contain no live cultures. Dissolve it in hot water completely off the heat, below 70 degrees Celsius, and drink it as the first warm thing of the day. Unpasteurized miso contains live lactobacillus and other bacteria that survive only if they are never boiled. A large Japanese cohort study found that increased consumption of fermented soybean products is associated with significantly reduced risk of all-cause mortality in both men and women. The free glutamate makes the bowl satisfying enough to sustain the habit. The live cultures are the reason the habit is worth sustaining. Number 1, Granny Yuki's daily bowl. Every morning without exception, white miso dissolved just below the boil, a few leaves of dried wakame rehydrated in the bowl, 2 cubes of silken tofu, a scatter of green onion. No shortcuts, no variation, no skipping. The same bowl, the same ritual, every morning of her adult life. The research behind what she was doing includes the blood pressure paradox, the skin hydration findings, the gut microbiome support, the isoflavone data from the Japan Public Health Center study published in Circulation, and the long-term mortality results from Japanese cohort research. She did not know those studies by name. She knew that the bowl made her feel like herself, and that free glutamate, first thing in the morning, tastes like exactly what it is, the simplest, most consistent thing you can do for yourself every single day. 31 tricks, 1 paste, barely €4. Free glutamate is the thread that runs through every single one of them, from the rice water to the cookie dough to the skin on your face. Granny Yuki understood it the way her family taught her. 1 bowl at a time, over a lifetime of paying attention to a paste most people walk straight past. If someone you know keeps their miso only for soup, share this with them today. Tell me your favorite number from the list in the comments. And if you want more from Yuki's Kitchen, subscribe. We will see you next time.